welcome back to the Gaming Malta stand here at ICE 2024. I'm now joined by Sam Cooke, the co-founder and MD of Esports Insider. Sam, welcome. Nice to see you. Tell me, the legitimacy of esports has really been on the rise. There's even been sort of some investment by major sports stars. What do you feel, though, is also contributing to that sort of rise in popularity?
I mean, I think this rise was somewhat always inevitable, right? Mostly everybody likes video games in some way, shape or form these days. There is whether that's mobile, whether that's console, whether that's PC, or whether that's the true esports titles. Video games themselves are increasingly popular as a form of entertainment, and I think that's not slowing down anytime soon. In turn, competitive video games or esports naturally is growing alongside and with that. I think one big point that has been holding esports back in a major way to date is lack of access, so accessibility and awareness. I think now we've got esports increasingly in schools, in colleges and universities. That's a major reason for the proper development and growth of the grassroots. I think to date there's been a big focus on that top 1 or 2%, those arena sellout events, right, which are great and very important as well, the spectacle. But we maybe forgot a little bit about growing and properly developing the grassroots of the space, and that is now, there's a lot of traction there, which is really exciting. And for sure, the likes of Lionel Messi and Aguero, and we could name a number more footballers. David Beckham, we're in London. David Beckham now involved by way of teams and such as well, definitely helps to elevate it, and I think help it to reach a broader audience and certain demographics that it maybe didn't previously.
Esports actually does have quite a substantial Generation Z fan base, doesn't it? So I was wondering, with that demographic, how does that influence the way that you sort of interact with your core audience in terms of your events and your media channels?
Yeah, it's a good question. So ESI is very much focused on the business of esports, right? So we run the industry events with a meeting place for the team owners, for the brands looking to invest, the investors themselves, etc. Gen Z is absolutely a key category for us and a large part of our audience. And I think we, over the years, since we started in 2016, have definitely adapted how we publish news and how we promote content. We've dabbled with different short-form versions of articles. We're now doing a lot more video content, importantly, a lot more short-form video content. We're considering, as we have been for a while, TikTok, which might not be the most obvious place for a business news platform, but I think there's absolutely a home for us there. So yeah, rolling with the punches, for sure.
Esports and iGaming do intersect, and that seems to be continuing to happen. What do you see as the major sort of challenges and opportunities in that area?
Yeah, it's a big one. So we've been involved in that crossover since we started in 2016, and there have been a lot of promising developments. I mean, for starters, back when we got started, Pinnacle, Betway, and maybe only a handful of others were offering esports markets in any meaningful sense. And now, almost any sportsbook, you will see some form of an esports offering, right? So it is getting there, it is developing. The likes of 1xBet, GGBet and such are sponsoring the big tournaments and teams. I think the main thing holding it back is the nature of the beast to a degree. I think live data in esports is still a major challenge, and that's because the old point that we've made 100 times, no one owns football, but people do own these video games, right? So you need to have, or ideally you need to have some form of relationship with the original IP owner, so the Riot Games, the Ubisofts of the world, etc., in order to develop the best products for the market. I think the product itself could develop to better cater to esports fans as well. And most books still offer, you scroll down to esports and then you scroll down to Dota or League or what have you, right? Whereas football, basketball were very clearly separated. It should really, in my opinion, be the same with esports offerings. Like, there are Dota fans and there are League fans, there are CS fans and there are Rocket League fans, and they're not necessarily as merged as they purport to be with those offerings.
Okay, that's really interesting insight. Thank you. Are there any up-and-coming games that you particularly have got your eye on that you think might be the next big thing in esports?
Yeah, I mean, there's always new games on the horizon, that's for sure. I think Valorant still continues to be very interesting. So Riot Games is FPS, first-person shooter title. Valorant has been doing well in terms of numbers. There's a lot more, there's a lot of investment into those professional tournaments, and that sector and the circuit, generally speaking. So Valorant will be one. I think Mobile Legends by a company called Moonsun out in Asia has been huge and gets incredible viewership in certain territories. They're now beginning to explore pushing that into new regions, new countries as well. So it has a lot of potential.
So really exciting, a lot to keep our eyes on.
Yes, indeed. That's for sure.
You might have heard that Gaming Malta has launched their Respect campaign, which is all about debunking the myths and championing the facts about iGaming. In your experience in the industry, what sort of misconceptions have you come across?
Yeah, I think from speaking to people that have never worked in the sector whatsoever, I think there's definitely a belief and a misconception now that it's still Wild West, let's call it, right? That it's unregulated and bookmakers have free rein to offer and promote their services and their odds to whomever they please, as they please, which absolutely is not the case anymore, right? It's a highly regulated space. Those regulations are increasing. There's a lot more player protections in place than I think a lot of people realize in terms of the support of the charities for gambling addiction and such as well. So yeah, I think it's a much more regulated space than many people realize.
Wonderful. Sam, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us your insight.
Thank you very much for having me.